All right, welcome back. Now, I want to tell y'all a story that took place in the 90s. Back in the 90s, a bunch of people from Detroit, drug dealers from Detroit, heard that there's a lot of money in Lima because there was a lot of crackheads in Lima. And there was, and it probably still is, I'm sure it still is, strips, like crack strips almost, where, all up and down the streets is where a bunch of crackheads wander looking for crack. And I ain't gonna lie, man, Lima, Ohio is small, but it's unusually hood. Unusually. Um, I didn't know there were so many rappers from Lima, but this video is a compilation of rappers from Lima. Let me show y'all something. This is weird to see. I haven't been to Lima in years, but this is weird to see. Look at that. Look at this. See this building right here? Right here? That's this. Downtown Lima. You can look it up and see it. A small, real small city. This crazy hood. It's like, now that I think back on, my hometown where I grew up, everywhere was hood. And it was like almost everybody was like hood. But my family, like in the hood, the hoods that I've known, there would be classy people in the hood that would eventually make it out. That's why we populate so many suburbs. Because there's actually a lot of strong people that come out of the hood, just like with any other community. You're going to get some people who are exceptions. They don't fall into traps and stuff like that. They understand how to live life and what you're supposed to do and make it a point to do that. Stay focused on that. Do whatever you have to do to stay out of jail and stay alive. You got to work. Simple as that. You got to get a legit job. A legit job and work just like everybody else. You got options. You can go to college, you can learn a trade, or you could just work with a diploma and work your way up. But if you plan to live into old age, you got to work just like everybody else and stay out of crime. You get involved in crime, reduce your chances of getting a good job, get hit with no felony or whatever. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. In the 90s, a bunch of people from Detroit decided they wanted to come to Lima to make money. They heard there was a lot of crackheads in Lima. And they came down, I don't remember exactly the number, how many of them came down, but they came down in like groups. Groups. And of course, that was dumb. Like recipe, how you just gonna go to a whole nother city and think you're gonna take over crack spots? So right there lets you know that these dudes planned on strong arming anybody and everybody in Lima. Like, it was highly disrespectful. It was and when now I think back at it, it's one of the dumbest things I ever seen in my life. Like, you gonna go down to a city, even though it's small. It was around 50,000 people. That's far more people than you coming down. You gonna what? Take on the whole city? Like, for real? Like, the lack of planning of these dudes was mind blowing, because they really did come down expecting to strong arm people in Lima. It's like, what? So they came down there, and it was like a Lima Detroit war, basically. It's like a Lima Detroit war. And of course it ended bad for them. You in a whole nother people's city. Yeah, you didn't bring 50,000 people with you. Oh my goodness. Like, it's unbelievable thinking back at it. Because think about it. If you going down to a whole nother city to sell your dope, and obviously you got a lot of money, that means you plan on taking other people's spots. Just get out of here. This is my block now. Like, what? And they tried to do that. They tried to do exactly that and got sent back home, basically. Now, there's always been people who had family in Detroit. Like I said, back in the 40s, or when blacks started to move from the south to the north, I-75 was just one of many highways or roads where they traveled, and they just sprinkled off into different cities along I-75, whether it be large cities or small. Remember that there's a huge oil place in Lima, especially back then. There was a lot of money to make in Lima. You had the tank plant, the only place that produces the tanks for the military, right? Had a lot of money in Lima. So a lot of people, a lot of black people moving from the south to the north, moved to Lima. My family moved to Lima. There was a lot of us. When you watch these documentaries, these drill documentaries, you hear, and black Americans, all black Americans can relate to this, you tend to have families all over cities. Even though your family originally moved from the south. They moved up north, and they populated a certain city heavily. You, like FBG Duck, for example, was said to have family all over the city, and one of the biggest, I think, families in the city. Several of those drill rappers, you heard about them having a whole lot of family all throughout major cities. Well, the same thing took place in Lima. I had family all over the city, still do. And it was, I guess, like a southern thing to do. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But I've always had family in several cities in Ohio. We've got, of course, family down south. And in my family, there was a lot of geniuses. My uncle did well. I think he's like over 100K now. But he was one of the successful people in our family. I had another uncle who played for the NFL. He played for the Chicago Bears, Indianapolis Colts. You can actually Google his name, Marcus Jackson, from Lima, Ohio. But I want y'all to look at this. I know some of you seen these websites. Where it gives cities a rank on how safe they are. The safest and most dangerous places in Chicago, Illinois, is the one on your screen now. The safest places are in green. The most dangerous places are in red. And of course, orange is close to red. And Chicago gets a C minus. A C minus as far as crime. And it scored it ranks in the 38th percentile for safety. So it's safer than 38% of cities, but more dangerous than 62% of cities. Think about that. This is Chicago, Illinois, and it's safer than 38% of other cities in the United States. Chicago, Illinois. Kind of crazy, right? Lima got the same grade. Small little city. And this is what those Detroit guys ran into. They found out, like, hey, these are the same people. This in Detroit. Yeah. Like, what made you think, like, seriously, what made you think the size of your city, how many people live there, is going to make any kind of difference? These people all came from the same places. My people came from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It's not a big city, Tuscaloosa, but it's bigger than Lima. Bigger than Lima. That's several people. And many people in my family end up moving to bigger cities. Size of your city don't mean nothing. In this country, you know, like, you don't find no real difference in white people's area either. And you know what else I see on this map? One of the most dangerous, now granted, let me see if I can expand this. Okay, that didn't work. Look at that, link broke. Okay, we'll use the small, wait a minute, there we go. Granted, the orange and red areas are black, heavily populated with black people. Remember, I live on Metcalf. I pretty much grew up on Metcalf. This was that village area where the village looking houses were that I showed on that video I made down here. But let me tell you, this is a white area up here. And look at that. They bright red. Bright red. This is a crime database. So it's not partial to violent crime. It includes all crime. So that myth, once again, that crime, you know, is somehow unique to black people, not really. This is a lighter road. This is a lighter, if I'm not mistaken. That's like a white suburb of Lima. It's a white suburb of Lima. At least that's the way it was when I lived there. If there's been influx of black people in a lighter, that's something I don't know nothing about. Nothing about at all. So early in my life, we lived out here until I was like 5 years old. And then we moved out south, and I spent most of my life out south and out west side and the south side. But look at this. This is terrible. This is actually kind of sad that a city, because those Detroit guys, they thought the same way I thought at first. I think we all thought this way at some point, that if you from a smaller town, it should be safer. You know, I don't know why it's like natural to think that, but when you think about it, that's a dumb thing to think. The number of people who live in your city ain't got nothing to do with nothing. We, as far as black Americans, we brought the same attitudes everywhere we went. It didn't matter how many people lived in no city. I know blacks from Sandusky, and it said that Sandusky is kind of hood. I ain't never been there, but the people I knew from Sandusky were hood. It was hood. Now you see this? Lima's the same way. 36th percentile. It's safer than 36% of other cities in the U.S., but more dangerous than 64% of other cities in the United States. Lima, Ohio. That's crazy. That's crazy. So realistically, man, I just had to reflect on the fact that I came from a hood city and some intact. I came out the trenches, man. It was a lot of ignorance. I grew up around a whole lot of ignorance, man. I'm trying to tell you. I've only known one person to have taken somebody else's life. I didn't grow up in no gang. Well, I won't get into that. I didn't grow up in no gang. But like I said, I've been to hell. I've been to hell. Like a lot of people I grew up with, some people I grew up with, they in a whole different situation right now in life. In their late 40s. While I'm living a regular life. Just a regular worker. Yeah. What is this? Detroit. Detroit differs from Lima by only 7%. 7%. They score in the 29th percentile for safety. So it's safer than 29% of cities. Remember, Lima 36. Difference of 7%. And that's them Detroit dudes found out. It's like, what are you doing? This is Houston, got a D. Lima's safer than Indianapolis, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and everybody who leave Lima don't ever want to go back. They never want to go back. I would never move back unless there was a job there where I'd be rich. Where I move back, I won't. Okay, I'll be realistic. Won't have to be rich. But let's say you offering me $300K, something crazy, $250K. Yeah, I'll move back to Lima. Aside from that, nope. Just like what you hear a lot with a lot of people, who move out of their city. They never want to go back. You feel like it was like, and it's something eerie and negative. A lot of people in my family said that. Something about Lima. It's like, man, I got to get out of here. Once I leave, I ain't never coming back. So yeah, man, shout out to all the black men. It's a lot of them. It's a lot of black men who came from poverty. They was a victim. It was a victim of, laziness, basically. Came out of just straight up poverty. But they made it. And legit. And no reason to hide. Nothing to hide. Got a clean criminal record. But came from an environment that took a lot of your peers under. Where people you grew up with locked up in prison. I got several family members in prison. Into other stuff that ruined their life. Man, And it wasn't necessary. Wasn't necessary. Take them kind of chances. I got into a lot of stuff that I shouldn't have got into. I'll tell you what, the first time I went to jail, I changed my life. When I got out, I lived legit from there to this point right now. All it took was for me to go to jail once. I was there for 10 days. Once. I got out. I never broke another law. Kept a car, kept a job since that point. And that was a long time ago. That was my early 20s. Uh, so yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to share that story. That's sad. That's sad. Like I said, for whatever reason, I always thought that if you're from a small city, it should be safer. And a lot of people from Lima actually thought Lima was safer than larger cities. You know, until we grew up and actually moved or went visited or went to different cities. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. And there's more proof, like I said. We make up far more than 13% of this country. I ain't going to never stop arguing that. And I wish somebody would. I wish somebody would try to challenge me on that. Because I swear, your argument's going to make far less sense than mine. I'm saying the statistics is wrong. There ain't no way we make up no 13% of this country when we populate large cities the way we do and so many small cities the way we do. That's one of the biggest lies going on right now in this country. I'll leave it there.